The voicemail from the California Coastal Commission arrived on a Tuesday morning while I was teaching my marine biology class at UC Santa Barbara. Ms. Rivera, this is James Chin from the Coastal Commission. We have questions regarding proposed development at 2847 Ocean View Drive in Malibu. The permit application lists your sister as the property owner, but our records show a different name. Please call us as soon as possible. I excused myself from class and stepped into the hallway, my hands suddenly cold. Ocean View Drive. That was my house. The beachfront property my grandmother left me 4 years ago. The house I'd spent every summer of my childhood in, learning to identify tide pools and track migration patterns. I called back immediately. Mr. Chin? This is Dr. Maya Rivera. You left a message about Ocean View Drive. Yes, Dr. Rivera. Thank you for calling back. We received a permit application for demolition and new construction at that address. The applicant is listed as Elena Rivera, claiming to be the property owner. But when we cross-referenced with county records, the deed shows Maya Rivera as the sole owner. Can you clarify the situation? Elena is my sister. She doesn't own the property. I do. Pause. So she doesn't have authorization to demolish the existing structure or build new construction? Absolutely not. I had no idea she'd applied for permits. I see. Dr. Rivera, she's also signed a pre-development agreement with Coastal Luxury Developments for $2.3 million. They're planning to demolish your house and build a modern 4-unit complex. Construction was scheduled to begin next month. My vision went white at the edges. She sold my house. She signed agreements giving them development rights. The contracts are contingent on permit approval, which is why we're reviewing ownership documentation. If she doesn't own the property, these agreements are void. She doesn't own it. She has never owned it. My grandmother left it to me specifically. Then we're halting all permits immediately. I'd recommend you contact an attorney. This appears to be fraud. I left campus and drove straight to the house, 90 minutes of freeway with my mind racing through possibilities. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe Elena had thought she was helping somehow. Maybe. I pulled up to find a construction fence surrounding the property. Large signs, future site of Ocean View Luxury Residences, Coastal Luxury Developments. Through the fence I could see survey stakes in the yard. Orange spray paint marking demolition zones. A portable office trailer in the driveway. I parked and called my sister. She answered on the first ring, sounding cheerful. Maya. Perfect timing. I was going to call you about the house. We need to discuss the distribution of proceeds. What the fuck did you do? Silence. Then, cautiously, I found a developer willing to pay $2.3 million for the property. With the real estate market right now, that's an incredible offer. Way more than the house is worth. You don't own the house, Elena. You have no right to sell it. It's family property. Grandma's estate. We should split it. Grandma's will specifically left that house to me. Only me. You got the condo in San Diego and half the investment portfolio. The beach house is mine. That's not fair. The beach house is worth way more. That's not the point. It's mine. Legally. You can't sell property you don't own. The developers have already started the permit process. They've invested over $100,000 in planning and applications. Then they invested in fraud. Cancel the contracts. Now. I can't just cancel. There are penalties. Elena, you committed fraud. You forged ownership documents and sold property that isn't yours. That's a felony. Cancel the contracts or I'm calling the police. I hung up and immediately called my attorney. By Wednesday afternoon, I had a cease and desist letter delivered to Coastal Luxury Developments and a fraud report filed with the Malibu Sheriff's Department. By Thursday morning, the construction fence was gone and the trailer had disappeared. By Thursday afternoon, Elena's attorney called mine requesting a meeting to discuss a resolution without involving law enforcement. Your sister is in serious trouble, my attorney Rebecca told me over the phone. She forged ownership documents, signed contracts under false pretenses, and accepted money for property she doesn't own. The developers could sue her for fraud. The state could press criminal charges. She's looking at felony prosecution. Good. Maya, I have to ask, is there any way she could have genuinely believed she had ownership rights? No. The will was crystal clear. I showed her the deed when it transferred to my name. She knew exactly what she was doing. Then she's committed multiple crimes. The question is whether you want to pursue criminal charges or handle this civilly. I thought about Elena, my older sister who'd always resented that grandma and I shared a love of marine biology, who'd called the beach house wasteful, and said I should sell it and do something productive with the money, who'd apparently decided to sell it herself when I refused. What happens if I pursue criminal charges? She could face 3 to 5 years in prison for real estate fraud. She'd have to return any money she received from the developers, plus face their civil lawsuit for damages. And if I handle it civilly? You sue her for attempted theft and fraud. She returns any money, pays your legal fees, and hopefully learns not to forge documents. But no criminal record. Will she stop if there's no criminal consequence? Rebecca paused. In my experience, people who commit fraud once often do it again. Especially if they face minimal consequences. File criminal charges. The investigation moved quickly once detectives reviewed the documentation. Elena had created fake deed transfer papers showing the property had been redistributed as part of a state settlement. She'd forged my signature on documents claiming I'd agreed to sell. She'd accepted $50,000 from Coastal Luxury Developments as a deposit against the final $2.3 million sale price. She'd spent $30,000 of that money already. A new car, a vacation to Hawaii, designer furniture. The developers were furious. Their attorney contacted me directly. Ms. Rivera, we invested over $120,000 in permit applications, architectural plans, and site preparation based on your sister's fraudulent claims. We're suing her for damages, but we wanted to ask, would you be interested in selling the property legitimately? No. We'd be willing to go as high as $2.5 million. The house isn't for sale. It's never been for sale. My grandmother left it to me because we both loved that stretch of coastline. I teach marine biology. I use that house for research and education. It's not a development opportunity. Even at $3 million? Even at $10 million? The house isn't for sale. Not to you, not to anyone. Elena was arrested in June and charged with real estate fraud, forgery, and grand theft. She pleaded not guilty, claiming she'd believed she had the right to sell family property. The prosecutor showed the jury the forged documents, the fake deed transfers, the emails where Elena had explicitly acknowledged that I was the legal owner but argued the property should be split between us. This wasn't a misunderstanding, the prosecutor told the jury. This was calculated fraud. The defendant knew she didn't own the property. She forged documents, lied to developers, and attempted to steal $2.3 million from her own sister. The trial lasted 3 days. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing was set for August. Elena's attorney requested probation. The prosecutor asked for 3 years in prison. I attended the sentencing hearing on a Thursday in August, sitting in the back row of the courtroom. Elena stood before the judge in a gray suit, looking smaller than I remembered. Her attorney gave a speech about remorse and rehabilitation. About how Elena had made a terrible mistake but deserved a second chance. The judge listened patiently. Then she spoke. Ms. Rivera, you didn't make a mistake. You committed calculated fraud against your own sister. You forged legal documents. You lied to developers. You attempted to steal property worth over $2 million. The only reason you didn't succeed is because the Coastal Commission caught the fraud during permit review. She paused, looking down at the sentencing guidelines. The court sentences you to 2 years in state prison, followed by 3 years supervised probation. You are ordered to return the $50,000 deposit to Coastal Luxury Developments and pay restitution to your sister for all legal fees incurred, currently totaling $18,000. Elena's shoulders shook. Her attorney put a hand on her arm. Additionally, the judge continued, you are permanently barred from claiming any interest in the property at 2847 Ocean View Drive. This order is binding and will be recorded with the county to prevent any future fraudulent claims. They led Elena away without her looking back at me. 3 months later, I was standing on the deck of the beach house, watching my graduate students collect samples from the tide pools below. The house was exactly as it should be. Weathered shingles, salt-crusted windows, the sound of waves constant and grounding. Not demolished. Not replaced with luxury condos. Just mine. I'd spent the past month reinforcing the property's legal protections. The deed now included explicit language barring any future claims from family members. I'd updated my will to ensure the property went to the marine biology department if anything happened to me, preserved for research and education, never development. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother, who I hadn't spoken to since the trial. Elena is devastated. He made a mistake. Can't you find it in your heart to forgive her? I stared at the message for a long moment. Then typed back, she didn't make a mistake. She committed fraud. She tried to steal my house and sell it for $2.3 million. That's not something you forgive. That's something you prosecute. She's your sister. And I was her sister when she forged my signature and tried to steal from me. Being family doesn't give you the right to commit crimes. I blocked the number and went back to watching my students work. One of them, a first-year grad student named Carlos, was photographing a cluster of sea anemones. He looked up and waved. Dr. Rivera. Come look at this. I think it's a new color variant. I climbed down to the tide pools, grateful for the distraction. For the work. For this house that my grandmother had loved and protected and trusted me to preserve. Elena had seen it as money. As an asset to be liquidated. I saw it as home. As legacy. As the place where I'd learned to love the ocean and everything in it. That difference was why Grandma left it to me. And why it was going to stay mine.